A new book just came out. It's called Darwinian Eugenics and the Holocaust. It shows how important Darwinism was in the Holocaust. And one area I specialize in, because nobody else is, it seems, is that evolution, Darwinism, has caused a huge problem, enormous problems in our society. And I'll give you one quick example. It may surprise you, but the main proof we had for human evolution for a century was racism. And I've collected biology textbooks dating back for 100 years, and invariably the proof of human evolution was a chimp, a monkey, a black man, a Negro, and a Caucasian. And these were in book after book after book after book. And they made it very clear that blacks were an inferior race. They were less evolved than whites, and Darwin said, the black race will become extinct, rendering the gap between monkeys and whites greater. Now, how can you be any more specific than that? Darwin had an entire chapter on race in his book on the origin of man. Huge chapter. And for, well, since 1860 about till 1950, about 100 years, they proved human evolution by racism. Very clear in the textbooks. And this, I think people today are surprised because, well, we didn't go to school in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. Well, some of us in the 50s. But maybe you don't remember that. And not all books, of course, use that approach, but many did. And I have a PowerPoint presentation where I showed how central racism was, still today with us, as a result of that teaching. Because what other proof did they have? What else was there? There's vestigial organs, but that's wrong. And I've shown that wrong in this book, Useless Organs. There were 100 claimed to be vestigial, useless organs. Now there's none. We found all of them have an important function. The appendix, the thymus, the thyroid, the tonsils, the adenoids. All of these were found to be useful. And I get into that a little bit in here, which I talk about the fact that evolution has caused huge number of problems. And the problems we see today, the riot in the cities, goes right back to evolution. And I show, not in this book, but in one of the other books, the main evidence that they had for evolution was racism, and therefore the KKK justified their organization on the basis of evolution. And they made it very clear. I read the autobiography of the head KKK member, who's from Louisiana. I forget his name. But the head of the KKK, he has a thick book where he talked about why he became from a young earth creationist to an evolutionist and a racist, and he makes it clear he relied heavily upon the evolution ideas he learned in college. So colleges made him a racist. David Duke, who I'm thinking of. And so he makes that it's a thick book, and it's pretty much all about evolution. About 500 pages. Read the whole thing because I learned a lot about evolution in the book.